Picture this. A bold new lineup of smartphones that not only echoes the innovation of Apple's latest releases, but flips the script with game-changing features like extra screens and colossal batteries. That's the Xiaomi 17 series, stepping into the spotlight and sparking debates about originality versus ambition in the tech world. But here's where it gets controversial. Is Xiaomi merely mimicking Apple, or are they cleverly outmaneuvering the competition? Let's dive in and unpack it all. Critics might argue that Xiaomi's launch event for the 17 series phones borrows a bit too heavily from Apple's playbook, while supporters could see it as a savvy strategy to outshine the Cupertino giant. Regardless of your stance, it's evident that the Chinese tech powerhouse had Apple's iPhones firmly in its sights during the announcement, even though the devices themselves boast distinctive elements, particularly the secondary display gracing the backs of the two Pro variants. To kick things off, let's talk about the naming convention. Xiaomi's previous top-tier models were the 15 series, which included the recent 15T releases. And now we're leaping to the 17 lineup. It's common for Chinese manufacturers to sidestep the number 4 due to cultural superstitions surrounding unlucky connotations. Think of OnePlus jumping from 13 to 15 this year. But Xiaomi's move is a tad different. They've openly admitted to skipping straight to 17 purely to align with Apple's numbering system, as shared on their official Weibo account. Add in the debut of a second Pro model size, and you've got a lineup that sounds eerily familiar. The Xiaomi 17, 17 Pro, and 17 Pro Max. To hammer home the point, CEO Lei Jun repeatedly drew parallels to Apple's new iPhones during the Beijing event, meticulously comparing specs and proclaiming victories in battery life, speed, camera quality, and beyond. That said, Xiaomi's hardware stands on its own merits, with specs that back up those bold claims without directly aping Apple. The Pro and Pro Max models shine brightest, thanks to their rear secondary screens, positioned where you typically find the camera bump on comparable iPhone Pros. This extra display functions much like the cover screens on modern flip phones, encircling the camera lenses and offering perks such as a selfie viewfinder, music controls, interactive widgets, and more. For beginners wondering what this means, imagine having a mini screen on the back that lets you snap photos or play tunes without unlocking the main display. It's like adding a smart assistant right where your thumb naturally rests. Xiaomi isn't pioneering this idea. We've seen secondary screens on Android devices before, from Nubia's early attempts to Vivo's dual display editions over the past 5 years. Yet, the intuitive enhancements borrowed from flip phones could make this iteration more user-friendly than its predecessors. And, if you're still skeptical, there's the official Game Boy-inspired case with real buttons, transforming the phone's back into a handheld gaming console. A fun nod to retro gaming that adds practical playability. Beyond that, the two Pro models are largely identical except for dimensions. The standard Pro sports a 6.3-inch screen and tips the scales at 192 grams, while the Pro Max boasts a bigger 6.9-inch display at 231 grams. Xiaomi emphasized that the Pro Max is slimmer and lighter than Apple's equivalent, with a supposedly tougher screen. They even showcased this in a promotional video, featuring a figure skater gliding across the phone's face. Though, as a friendly reminder, that's definitely not something to replicate at home. Powering all models is Qualcomm's newly unveiled Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chipset, paired with massive batteries, 6,300 mAh for the Pro and a whopping 7,500 mAh for the Pro Max. They support rapid 100-watt wired charging via the Universal PPS protocol, plus 50-watt wireless charging for those on-the-go boosts. Photography takes center stage, with each phone packing 3 50-megapixel rear cameras. They share the same f1.67 main lens and f2.4 ultrawide, but the telephoto setups vary slightly. Both offer 5x optical zoom, yet the Pro Max's larger sensor and wider f2.6 aperture versus f3.0 on the Pro promise superior low-light shots. Think clearer night photos without the grainy blur that frustrates so many smartphone users. The base Xiaomi 17 might not grab headlines with its lack of a secondary screen, but that could make it more approachable for everyday users. It matches the Pro's 6.3-inch size, features a comparable 50-megapixel triple camera setup, and runs on the same Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chip. Here's the part most people miss. The 17 actually packs a larger battery than the Pro at 7,000 mAh. Xiaomi drove this home with another Apple comparison, pitting it against an iPhone 17 in a video playback endurance test. In a theatrical flourish, they attached a 5,000 mAh MagSafe battery to the iPhone, only for the Xiaomi to still outlast it. Will this translate to real-life usage? It's hard to say for sure, but the demo was undeniably entertaining and raises questions about whether battery claims are always as reliable as advertised. All three Xiaomi 17 phones are up for pre-order in China right now, with full availability hitting shelves on September 27th. Prices start at 4,499 yen, about $630 for the 17, 4,999 yen, around $700 for the Pro, and 5,999 yen, roughly $840 for the Pro Max. Global rollout details are pending, but expect a European release for some models next spring, possibly coinciding with MWC in late February, where they might unveil an even beefier Xiaomi 17 Ultra. What do you think? Is Xiaomi's approach to innovation a fresh take or just clever imitation? Do secondary screens sound like a gimmick or a genuine upgrade? And how do battery showdowns like this stack up in your experience? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear if you agree, disagree, or have a counterpoint to add to the debate.